Hello, I'm Esther Care. I'm from the Optimising Assessment for All team in the Global Economy and Development Program at the Brookings Institution. And I'm going to talk today about a process that we're undertaking in Asia and in Africa. And what this process is about using assessment constructively and also about developing approaches to the assessment of 21st century skills. We've been working with national teams in Asia and in Africa, and what we're interested in doing there is identifying how to activate students' use of these skills. One of the big issues in assessment is knowing that you're targeting what you're interested in. So it's not a simple matter of somebody like me writing a test item and assuming that that is going to pick up on the skill or the competency or the knowledge that I believe it's picking up on, particularly with areas like this where we're dealing with competencies that are less familiar. We're not sure whether the items or the tests that we write are actually going to pick up on the skill in which we're interested in. So we have to check it. And that's what my talk today is really about. It's about finding out how do we check whether an item we write actually targets or samples the skill in which we're interested. And one way of doing this is through what we call a Think Aloud. A Think Aloud is often referred to in the literature as a cognitive laboratory. So what a Think Aloud is us presenting a student with a new item that we've developed and asking them to talk their way through that item. We're interested in what the student is thinking, what their confusion is, how they go about solving the different items, what their wonderings are, what their confusions are. And we want basically a stream of consciousness from a student as they engage with these different tasks. And then what we do with that stream of consciousness is to compare the social and the cognitive processes that the students have talked about to our actual skill and its theoretical structure and the sub-skills that contribute to it. And so that's pretty much what a Think Aloud is. So it's a very simple concept, but maybe not so easy to enact in practice. So when we look at the different items that we've developed, and we look at students responding to those items and giving us the Think Aloud, we're actually not so much interested in how well the students are doing on the items. We're interested in those processes. So we're interested in students who can deal with the items competently, and we're also interested in those that struggle, because both of those students give us some understanding of where an item might lead, where a student might take that in their thinking. And that way we can understand the possibilities of the item, and we can also, of course, make sure that our scoring mechanisms can pick up on different levels of quality of performance. So the sorts of answers that we get from Think Alouds are incredibly valuable in item development in a project of this sort. Facilitating Think Alouds is a very skilled process. It requires not only some understanding of the target skills of the assessment items, it requires patience, and it also requires not trying to teach a student. Often, if you have someone facilitating a Think Aloud who's a teacher, it's very, very difficult for them not to try to teach the student as the student goes through. We want students to do well, and so it's very difficult sometimes to sit back and not try to interpret for the student. And so with a facilitator in a Think Aloud, that person needs to stay very, very much with the test instructions. Not paraphrase, just keep prompting the student as they go through the task. And you will have seen a lot of those demonstrations today. I hope you'll have found some of the responses of the student fascinating. Often in a Think Aloud you come across responses that you had not imagined would come, but those responses are what makes Think Alouds so valuable. It makes us understand a great deal more about what we're trying to test or to assess, and it gives us a much better understanding of the range of behaviours and qualities of performance that the items are likely to stimulate. So I hope you've enjoyed watching the Think Alouds today and that it's given you food for thought. Thank you.